Former Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard has recently made public claims about being broke after hitting rock bottom, even admitting to relying on regular people for money to maintain the extravagant lifestyle she once enjoyed. Her dramatic shift from spending public funds on lavish trips and $1 million security team to begging for handouts marks a stark reversal, with the consequences of her financial mismanagement only beginning to unfold. During her tenure as mayor, Henyard lived like royalty, recklessly spending public money on luxury vacations, excessive security, and other extravagant expenses. Reports indicate that she used taxpayer dollars to fund high-end trips and even borrowed millions of dollars using the city's infrastructure as collateral. Henyard publicly admitted that she had a blank check in the city and wasn't afraid to use it, essentially treating public funds as her personal piggy bank. One of the most outrageous examples of her financial excess was spending nearly $1 million on a welcome sign for Dalton, even as the town faced severe financial struggles. She also wasted taxpayer money on vanity projects, including a banner of herself that cost a staggering $119,000. While Dalton's residents struggled to make ends meet, Henyard's actions painted a picture of extreme irresponsibility and disregard for the public's needs. Her spending spree extended beyond these projects. She maintained an exorbitantly expensive security detail that cost taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars annually, with some officers reportedly making nearly $133,000 in overtime, more than many Dalton residents earn in several years. But Henyard's financial troubles didn't end with her misuse of public funds. Reports also revealed that she borrowed millions of dollars, using city assets as collateral. As her reckless spending and borrowing caught up with her, it became clear that Dalton could not meet its financial obligations. Police cars faced the threat of repossession, and essential services, such as fire protection, were severely neglected. Shockingly, the fire department had been operating without a contract for 5 years while Henyard continued to fund her extravagant lifestyle. Adding to her list of controversies, Henyard became embroiled in a Section 8 housing scandal. Section 8 is a program designed to help low-income individuals and families find affordable housing, but Henyard allegedly used it for personal gain. She reportedly owned properties in deplorable conditions riddled with mold, water damage, and structural issues, yet continued to collect Section 8 payments despite these homes being deemed uninhabitable. As of November 2019, one of her properties was officially considered unlivable, yet Henyard kept cashing in government checks. She neglected to make necessary repairs, ignored inspections, and allowed the properties to deteriorate while still profiting from taxpayer dollars. This gross negligence and apparent corruption further fueled public outrage, as Henyard misused funds meant for those in need while low-income tenants were forced to live in squalor. The revelations surrounding her financial mismanagement did not stop at just one scandal, and as more details emerge, the full extent of her actions continues to shock and anger the public. As mayor, Tiffany Henyard was not only responsible for misusing public funds but also for fostering a culture of corruption. This became evident when the FBI launched a full-scale investigation into her personal financial transactions and the town's finances, uncovering extensive mismanagement. Henyard, once a trusted leader of Dalton, quickly became the center of an inquiry that would reveal the full extent of her financial misconduct. The FBI subpoenaed records from both her personal accounts and the town's financial records, exposing how she had been using taxpayer money for personal gain. Investigators found that public funds were being spent on a lavish security detail, extravagant vacations, and other personal luxuries, expenses that should have been allocated to benefit the people of Dalton. As the investigation deepened, the scale of Henyard's actions proved to be even more severe than initially believed. Reports indicated that former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot was brought in to oversee the case, signaling the gravity of the situation. The FBI used electronic surveillance to closely monitor Henyard, gathering intelligence from local businesses and former employees who had first-hand knowledge of her alleged misconduct. Public trust in Henyard quickly eroded. The residents of Dalton, who had once placed their faith in her leadership, began demanding answers. Outrage over the misuse of taxpayer dollars grew as the town struggled with financial hardship, underfunded services, and unmet government obligations. Rather than confronting the allegations, Henyard's behavior became increasingly erratic. She withdrew from public life, skipping more than 25 board meetings and avoiding any form of accountability. Her absence only fueled frustration among the community. In an attempt to shift blame, she accused her former chief, Keith Freeman, of making poor financial decisions, distancing herself from the financial disaster unfolding under her leadership. However, this deflection only further alienated her from the residents of Dalton, who were beginning to see the full extent of their betrayal. Despite her attempts to evade responsibility, the FBI's investigation pressed forward. The evidence against her continued to mount as investigators conducted interviews with business owners, former employees, and officials. It became evident that Henyard's misconduct was not limited to a few isolated incidents but was instead part of a widespread pattern of corruption. While she may have hoped to escape the consequences of her actions, the ongoing investigation suggests that legal repercussions are inevitable. The people of Dalton, left to deal with the aftermath of her reckless financial decisions, continue to demand justice. With the FBI determined to expose the full extent of her corruption, Henyard's downfall appears to be only a matter of time. The FBI remained committed to uncovering the full extent of Tiffany Henyard's financial mismanagement and fraud during her time as mayor. As the investigation progressed, it revealed far more than just reckless spending. Henyard had allegedly engaged in multiple fraudulent activities, including the misuse of Section 8 housing funds and the exploitation of government programs designed to support the most vulnerable members of society. Despite mounting evidence against her, Henyard continued to act as if nothing was wrong, further isolating herself from the very people she was supposed to serve. However, it became increasingly clear that her actions would not go unpunished. The FBI's relentless pursuit of the truth signaled that legal action was inevitable. Her empire of corruption was on the verge of collapse, and it was only a matter of time before she would be held accountable for the damage she had inflicted on Dalton. Henyard's tenure as mayor is now remembered as a story of greed, neglect, and financial recklessness. What had once been an opportunity for public service quickly turned into a pursuit of personal gain. With the FBI closing in, her once thriving political career has been overshadowed by scandal and disgrace. As the residents of Dalton await justice, the full impact of her corruption is still being uncovered. Her legacy will forever be marked by financial mismanagement and a complete disregard for the community she was entrusted to lead. Now, Henyard finds herself making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Reports indicate that she has been selling off personal belongings in a desperate attempt to scrape together funds just to keep the lights on. While she faces financial ruin, Dalton itself is falling into even greater disarray. The town is drowning in millions of dollars of debt, left without leadership as Henyard seemingly vanished from the public eye. Frustrated by her absence, the Dalton Village Board took matters into their own hands, appointing Jason House as a temporary mayor to provide some semblance of leadership. The town was forced to find a substitute for a mayor who had long since abandoned her responsibilities. While Dalton's financial situation worsened, Henyard remained in hiding, avoiding the fallout from her reckless actions. Her disappearance left residents feeling betrayed, as they watched their town crumble under the weight of debt and mismanagement. It was as if they had elected a magician, one whose final trick was to vanish at the exact moment she was needed most. Managing a town is not a game, and leadership is about confronting challenges head-on. Yet, Henyard treated it as though it were beneath her, choosing to flee rather than take responsibility for the crisis she created. As Dalton struggles to recover, its former mayor remains missing in action, her once lavish lifestyle unraveling before the public's eyes. What was once a position of power and privilege has become a cautionary tale of unchecked corruption and the inevitable downfall that follows. Tiffany Henyard's disappearance was more than just an act of neglect, it was a clear refusal to take accountability for her actions. The longer she hid from the public, the more people began to question her motives. Was she truly this irresponsible? Had she completely abandoned her duty to the people of Dalton? Her decision to vanish at the town's most vulnerable hour left no doubt that she was unfit to serve as mayor. But Henyard's antics didn't stop at her disappearance. In a desperate attempt to deflect blame, she began pointing fingers at her former chief of staff, Keith Freeman. Reports suggest that she claimed Freeman was responsible for the financial mismanagement that led to the town's downfall. It was a classic case of not my fault, as she tried to convince the public that she was merely a puppet, with Freeman pulling the strings. However, the reality was quite the opposite. Henyard ruled Dalton with an iron fist, and the notion that Freeman had been making all the decisions was nothing short of laughable. Her blame game didn't end there. Allegations surfaced that she had fired employees who refused to keep financial records hidden from the public and pressured staff into participating in questionable schemes. One former HR manager claimed she was terminated for refusing to follow orders to conceal critical information. Meanwhile, other employees reported being forced out after declining to take part in shady activities. Henyard appeared to be running Dalton like her personal empire, punishing anyone who dared to challenge her authority. Even more alarming were reports from local business owners who claimed they had been harassed by police for not supporting Henyard. One businessman, Lawrence Gardner, alleged that after refusing to participate in one of her schemes, his business license was revoked, and he was subjected to targeted police harassment. It became clear that Henyard's misconduct went beyond financial mismanagement. She had allegedly weaponized her power to intimidate and retaliate against those who opposed her. Dalton's financial crisis was not just a result of reckless spending but also Henyard's habit of borrowing against city infrastructure. Reports indicate that she used municipal property as collateral to secure millions of dollars in loans, an illegal and absurd misuse of power. City assets are not personal leverage, yet Henyard acted as though the rules simply didn't apply to her. Now, creditors are seeking repayment, with some even looking to claim city property to recover their losses. The FBI has stepped in to investigate, determined to uncover the full extent of Henyard's financial mismanagement. Keith Freeman, the man she attempted to scapegoat, is reportedly cooperating with authorities and providing critical information. Meanwhile, Henyard continues to live in luxury, evading accountability and ignoring the mounting legal consequences. In a bizarre twist, she has now resorted to pleading for money online. Yes, the same woman who squandered millions on lavish trips, an over-the-top security detail, and vanity projects is now asking ordinary citizens to donate to her cause. The irony is undeniable. After treating taxpayer money like a personal piggy bank, she is now relying on the generosity of the same people she betrayed. As the investigation deepens, Henyard's carefully constructed facade is crumbling. The town of Dalton remains in financial ruin, and its former mayor is desperately trying to escape the reckoning that awaits her. But with the FBI closing in, it's only a matter of time before justice is served. Tiffany Henyard's GoFundMe campaign has left many people in disbelief. How did she go from living like a Kardashian to begging for money from ordinary citizens? Wasn't she the same person who had free reign over Dalton's budget? Now, she's acting as though she's destitute, pleading for donations to cover the costs of her extravagant spending, including 119,000 welcome banners and lavish trips to Las Vegas. The public is unimpressed, and many are openly mocking her audacity. How could she possibly expect support after everything she's done? Some are questioning whether her crowdfunding efforts are genuine or just another scheme. Is she truly broke, or is this a last-ditch effort to secure funds before she vanishes again? Given her history of deception, skepticism is widespread. Many believe this is just another ploy to gather money before the authorities catch up with her. While her remaining supporters cling to the hope that she can somehow turn things around, the majority see through her act. After all, she went from a life of unchecked luxury to scraping for cash online. It simply doesn't add up. People are beginning to wonder whether she's using this money to pay off her debts or if it's part of a larger plan to scam more people out of their hard-earned money. Meanwhile, the residents of Dalton are left struggling to comprehend the chaos she has caused. The police department's vehicles are at risk of repossession, and the fire department has gone years without a contract. Despite the town's financial ruin, Henyard seems to believe that asking for donations will somehow fix everything. But the reality is that she has left Dalton in an economic disaster that will take years to recover from. As creditors chase her down, the town continues to deal with the aftermath of her reckless spending. While she's out raising money online, Dalton is crumbling under the weight of her mismanagement. Some critics believe she's attempting to play the victim, hoping to garner sympathy and financial support, but the residents of Dalton are not so easily fooled. They refuse to let her walk away unscathed after the damage she has caused. The most shocking part: despite her actions, Henyard has managed to raise around $155,000 through GoFundMe. Many struggle to understand how she continues to convince people to give her money. Some believe she's manipulating public perception, but the facts remain: she squandered millions on herself, left Dalton in ruins, and is now asking for more. Tiffany Henyard's fall from grace has been nothing short of dramatic. Once living a life of excess, she is now desperately trying to stay afloat, seeking handouts while the town she abandoned continues to suffer. But the people of Dalton aren't falling for it. They demand accountability, and this time, Henyard won't be able to escape the consequences of her actions. Her time in power is over, and Dalton deserves better leadership moving forward.